Tonight on Metro News in Focus. The restrictions on exactly who can donate blood are limiting those who want to help. One of our reporters looks closer at the campaign of one of Christchurch's first Muslim candidates. Kia ora, good evening and welcome to Metro News in Focus, a current affairs show brought to you by students of the New Zealand Broadcasting School. First up tonight, blood plays a vital role in our health system, and with donations low, it's needed now more than ever. But as I found out, some people simply can't donate. Donating blood. For some, it's a quarterly habit, and when New Zealand's blood stock is low, more needs to be donated. The problem is many people, especially in the rainbow community, simply aren't allowed, whether it's in the short term or more permanently. The New Zealand Blood Service requires men who have had condomless sex to wait a year before donating, and it's not going over well in the community.
I think that it's based on quite a few assumptions which stem from a time in New Zealand where homophobia was quite prevalent. It begins a commentary on the private lives of men who engage in sexual behaviour with other men. It kind of connotes that we are sort of unhealthy or filthy, or that we are sort of juvenile in the way that we go about maintaining our sexual practices. It's connoting commentaries that aren't necessarily true as well, which is a flaw.
Flaws aren't confined to the process either. The blood service is currently low on O-negative blood and often requests those with specific blood types to come forward. Despite not everyone being able to donate, the New Zealand Blood Service believe the criteria are warranted.
We operate a number of layers of safety measures to make sure that the blood we provide to patients is free of infection insofar as that's possible. We will continue to work as hard as we can and with all the relevant experts to make sure that the blood supply remains as safe as it can while allowing as many people as possible to donate.
Conditions like the ones on the New Zealand Blood website aren't restricted to sexual behaviours. Everything from recent ear piercings to tattoos are here, and it's a resource that the New Zealand Blood Service would recommend every new donor read. Discussions are underway though, with the Blood Service open to change.
We're in the process of convening a group in order to ask them to do another review next year, and that's clearly been driven by a desire to make sure that we are offering as many people as possible who can safely donate the opportunity to do so. So we will be reviewing evidence from around the world to try to enable that group to determine whether a change can be made going forward.
And at least one group are open to discussion. Bring in the New Zealand AIDS Foundation.
We certainly were very involved in the last change. I think it went from 5 years to 12 months. So, certainly an open line of communication, but no current active advocacy around this issue. Of course, if they put anything out to consultation, then we would certainly engage.
In the meantime, those affected have a single message.
I'd like the Blood Service to know that I'm not the only person that thinks this way. There is an entire community of people who have desired this change for quite a while and who see quite a lot of reason for it. Please change things up.
Connor Stirling, Metro News. With voting in the local elections winding up this weekend, candidates are getting out across the city in their last days of campaigning, including Zara Hussaini, who's Christchurch's first Muslim woman running for local government. Isobel Prasad has more.
For Zara Hussaini, it's getting out and meeting the community that makes running for Waimairi so rewarding.
I actually really enjoy because I get to meet people. Some of them who are my supporters, so they get really excited and they're quite welcoming.
A regularly active member of the community, running for local government was another way of giving back.
I'm from this community. I care for this community, and I live in this community. So I have a strong sense of belonging to this community that I feel like I should be part of. The decision makings as well.
And diversity is one of the main differences that she brings.
I could consider myself a proud Kiwi Muslim. Some people might think that I may not represent them well, or I'm standing for Muslim people, but that's not correct.
But it was the March 15 terror attack which convinced Hussaini to put her name forward, being one of the first Muslim women to run for local government in Christchurch.
Having that representation at a professional level as well is quite necessary. And that's why I thought, I'll just put my name forward and see how it goes.
A campaign which has had its ups and downs, with a few of her election boards being vandalised.
To be honest, I was expecting that. And, they had vandalised some of their faces, made funny shapes on their faces on the pictures. And it was quite sad to see, but at the same time I was like, someone needed some places to do some graffiti.
However, it's the people of Waimairi that keep Hussaini in good spirits.
With the amazing support that I get from people around me, from my campaign manager to the other candidates and the locals, people from Waimairi say, I've had amazing show of support from everyone. So that's what keeps my hopes high.
And if she were to be elected, improving the quality of living for youth in her ward is a big part of her future plans.
I definitely want to work with them and, connecting young people and old people together, because I feel like there's some disconnection between the younger generation and older generation these days, unfortunately.
Hussaini's final message: to make sure your vote counts.
It's important if you want to have, things achieved for your community in the future. You have to make sure that you're picking the right person that is in line with your values.
Isobel, Prasad, Metro News.
Their targets were blown out of the water. The Riverside Market's opening brought thousands of people into the CBD, exceeding expectations. It's hoped it'll bring an end to the challenging post-quake period for the hospitality sector. Leighton Heikell has more.
The doors opened and thousands flooded in. What's been called a tsunami of people have visited Riverside, and just over a week on from opening, there's no sign of the crowd slowing down.
Look, it's been amazing, the response from the people of Christchurch. You can see it for yourself. There's just thousands of people out.
Ingalls is one of 3 developers behind the $80 million project, 4 years in the making.
Really good for the city, just have this activation and people out and drawing people in from the suburban malls.
And it's not just Riverside bringing life back to the CBD. Oxford Terrace is a hive of activity. One resident said it's Christchurch coming alive, but will all these new hospitality venues be able to outlast the hype?
Yeah, look, it's the first week, and so there'll be a bit of a buzz, and it's the school holidays.
Winter foot traffic in the area almost doubled on last year's numbers, and with another 30 eateries opened in the markets, that could rise.
Yeah, we're excited. The vendors are really happy.
And the general consensus from the hospitality sector in Christchurch is much the same.
We love what we do. We love being part of Christchurch, and the rebuild that is Christchurch. We love the hospitality scene here, and we only hope for bigger and better, not just for our industry, but for the whole central city of Christchurch.
She and husband Simon Levy's restaurant is on the opposite side of the Avon River.
We moved back to Christchurch because we could see that we had an opportunity to build something in a modern day city reinventing itself. And what modern day city gets to reinvent itself in our lifetime.
The Restaurant Association's Canterbury president says it's an exciting time for the industry.
You can only see the positive with more openings because it's bringing more and more people into Christchurch Central, and that's what's been key.
But there have been challenges. A tough market led to a number of closures, staff shortages, another issue.
There's always going to be those struggles, and that is just part of our industry.
But times are changing. Data shows more people were in the city over winter, and with hospitality spending on the rise during a downward economic trend, things are looking up.
The last 12 months to 18 months, the city's really come together, and having that central hub now has united the city.
The Central City Business Association says that anchor projects are key to more people in the city. These include the planned multi-use arena, hoped to be open by 2024, the convention centre, due for completion next year, and the Metro Sports Facility, under construction to open in 2021. Something Paul Lonsdale looks forward to.
That's going to be
a huge boost for the city in ways I don't think people quite understand, and the fact that actually, the swimming competitions, bringing families from around the country into Christchurch, they only got a couple of swims to go and look at, and then they're in town enjoying what we've got to offer. I think we've seen a bit of a boost in each of these major projects that get over the line. We see another lift in the people that are coming into the city.
The next step, inner city living and accommodation.
Do you talk to anyone that comes down here to go to an event and they struggle for places to stay? Because all of a sudden we've got this influx of people and not enough hotels or Airbnbs or to cater for that.
Lonsdale thinks the city needs more support from its people.
But it's also our residents coming back in and supporting their city. It's the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. I think people haven't really, the vast majority of people haven't really come in and experienced what the city has on offer.
And it seems residents have embraced Riverside.
It's not so much people, telling us how great it is. It's the little conversations you overhear, the people that go, "Wow, it's amazing," and you see them taking photos in there, and you see the look in their eyes, on their faces. That's a pretty special feeling, yeah.
Lonsdale, who ran the Restart Container Mall, which was once in its place, was equally impressed.
I walked inside Riverside on the morning of the opening, and I was so excited, I actually didn't know where to look.
And all are excited where things are heading.
We're excited.
We look forward to doing more because we've got more in the pipeline maybe.
Super excited.
It seems the tide is turning for the CBD's hospitality sector. Leighton, Heikell, METRONEWS.
With the end of the school holidays fast approaching, a Young Zookeepers program has a hands-on approach to teaching children about wildlife. Courtney Winter has the details.
Let's head down to the eels. With school holidays in full swing, some children are getting to experience a day in the life of a zookeeper.
So pretty much what Junior Keeper is, it's designed, I guess, to give kids kind of like a starting point of what it's like to be a keeper.
She says creating an active experience means children get a better understanding of what the job involves.
Right, hold me.
After some technical difficulties, it was business as usual.
So getting to feed animals, sometimes grooming animals, cleaning up after them.
There we go. The program benefits children thinking about becoming zookeepers or volunteers when they're older.
It's a really good way of getting kids interactive. It's fun for the school holidays to get kids out of video games and TVs and stuff like that. So it's a good way of getting kids to learn about what it is like. And I think it's a really good program to run as a zoo.
At the end of the day, after being with the animals, many children come away with favourites.
My favourite animal has been the lambs. My favourite animal would definitely be the baby bunnies.
Baby rabbits. They're really cute. Willowbank says it is important to educate children about different endangered or threatened species.
Some animals can be endangered and they can be threatened at some point. And Willowbank can, help save all these animals.
From feeding, cleaning and the occasional cuddle, the program teaches kids important skills around looking after different animals.
How many lambs have we got in there? 4? Perfect.
There's no food.
Do we get to feed them? You can.
Courtney Winter, METRONEWS.
With local music talent growing in popularity, are there enough suitable locations for students' bands to grow and perform at? Brooke explains.
Universities have long since been the birthplace for up-and-coming talent wanting to make their break onto the music scene. Some of New Zealand's most popular groups have formed during their student days, such as 660 and Shapeshifter. But for aspiring Christchurch bands, are there enough opportunities to play for crowds around the city? According to TuneSock, University of Canterbury's music club, there is a divide when it comes to the city's music scene.
It's really hard for them to not only get seen and noticed, but then even if you get noticed, are you going to be able to perform anywhere?
Sparrow thinks there needs to be more opportunity for these student bands to perform at venues which cater beyond the student crowds. He says often the disconnect limits the kind of people who attend the gigs, as towngoers rarely venture into student venues.
I guess there's a bit of a disconnect because the uni's over here and town's over there, just to get all the uni bands so people actually see them, because the people in town and bars don't really come and watch uni events where uni bands are playing. So the more we can get uni bands seen in town, so then they can get move from just playing at clubs around uni.
Being stuck in a bubble around the university scene is something that student bands have noticed too, as it's hard to book gigs in the city. What venues are available aren't always suitable for local bands to play, as the size of the venue caters mainly towards larger visiting acts.
All the places that play the local bands and the international bands that come in, they're really far away from where the uni population is. It's out by Woolston and in town, and there's not really a good venue uni-wise for all the international acts to come through. Like Heidi Row is absolutely fine, but not many bands like to go there just because it's 1,000 people capacity, maybe like 150 people turn up to their shows out in Blue Smoke and whatnot. So yeah, there definitely is a divide between the two.
Alternative rock band Lunar Intruder find when it comes to venues to perform, often the student bands are limited to surrounding areas.
Like the UC band's kind of stuck to the Island hub, which is a good thing in a way because you get your name gets out through all the clubs and everything. But at the same time, as I said, like stuck in the island bubble. But if you can make it out of that island bubble way, plain sailing.
Lunar Intruder thinks town venues could benefit from advertising student nights, as well as options for bands to perform at gigs. The band says the popularity of DJs has also made it difficult for live bands to perform.
Even if they just had like a Thursday night, like local music night or something like that, I think that would really hurt them too much because Fridays and Saturdays are the big nights for them. Yeah, that'd be cool.
It usually falls on a student night as well, so brings more people and more money for them.
However, promotion on social media and places such as SoundCloud and Spotify can open doors for local bands to have their music heard. Brooke Hunter, Metro News.
An outstanding document with crap implementation. Those are the words from Councillor James Goff on Project 8011, which is designed to bring people back into the central city. To unpack the program, here's Isaac Gunson and Stephen Walton.
Christchurch City Council has a bold plan to get 20,000 people living in the city centre by 2028. On average, the central city's population has grown by 5.4% each year since 2014. However, to reach 20,000, it'll need to increase by an average of 12.8% per year to have a shot at making the target. Now, because the City Council is going to have to double the number of people coming into the city centre to meet their goal, we've decided to double the number of reporters covering Project 8011.
They're up here, man.
No, the graphics will be here.
Right here.
Seriously? Oh, there's no graphics? Okay, never mind.
Oh. Whoops.
8011, named or rather numbered after the central city's postcode, was launched in September 2018 with 9 different actions aimed at breaking down barriers to central city residential development. The actions will be implemented over the next 2 years and include an online developer portal, a residential advice service, a package of incentive opportunities, and support for alternative housing approaches.
A year after it was launched, the project has been deemed to need support, and the first output deadline was missed in September. Councillor James Goff, who chairs the Central City Development Forum, thinks this might be the reason.
It comes down to really having a will from the decision makers to make tangible change in that space. So it's the old adage, if you continue to do what you've always done, don't be surprised if you get what you've always gotten. Christchurch City councillors need to understand that they're councillors and decision makers for the whole city. And I think it's so important that you need to have that Christchurch Inc. hat on with all of your decision making. It's not just about looking after your little patch, because that will never attain or reach the level that it could if the heart doesn't work. It's like the foundation for a house. If that's shoddy, the rest of it's never going to be any good either. So it's so important to get that right.
And Goff isn't alone. City leaders and prominent developers agree that more work needs to be done to make sure that the goals are hit on time. Work like additional incentives, according to Canterbury Chamber of Commerce Chief Executive Leanne Watson.
If we can create good incentives for developers and gives them the right environment to actually come into the central city and build residential homes, I think that's really positive.
To achieve that goal, the things that they're doing at the moment, like the development contribution rebate scheme, that helps, there's no doubt. But to achieve 20,000, it's not going to happen without more help.
Go deep with the incentives that are there. Ensure that there's no question marks hanging over whether or not it's going to be viable. It needs to be punchy and you need to make it count.
Leanne Watson and James Goff see this as an important project because the central city is the heart of Christchurch.
The central city itself, in any city, whether that's a city in New Zealand or in fact internationally, having a vibrant central city is absolutely essential for the greater Christchurch. And the reason that that's really important is because that's the heart of the city. That's where our tourists that come here go and visit. It's a unique part of any city.
But it's the heart that draws you in, and if that doesn't captivate or capture people, then they won't want to be in that city.
So, just what's stopping the heart from beating 9 years after the earthquakes?
There's a whole bunch of reasons actually. There's all the usual ones like cost. Apartments are expensive to build, so they cost more than a suburban home. There is the fact that the city isn't rebuilt yet, it's only partly rebuilt. There are still a lot of dust bowl sites around and no one wants to move into a new home next to a site that's a dust bowl with who knows what going up next to it.
Everything in the New Zealand construction industry is too hard. There's no silver bullet. It's literally right from the AML process when you're trying to buy land to the doing all the paperwork to the legal bills to the right through to creating your title. Every single part of the process is too hard.
I guess the main one would be the lack of, or the fact that the CBD isn't a full operating, long established CBD at the moment. It used to be, of course, and now it has to re-establish itself socially and culturally and with activity and all of that. But that's making good progress towards that.
And although progress in the city is being made, Goff says the rate of progress from council isn't enough.
I'm terrified to think that there isn't the will or the guts or the brain power from people around this table to actually see that this is something that has to happen. If it doesn't happen, Christchurch will suck. Simple as that.
Isaac Gunson,
Stephen Walton,
Metro News.
And that's all for tonight. If you want to read more about Project 8011 or any of the other stories you've seen, go to our website metronews.co.nz. Join us again this time next week. But for tonight, those were our stories in focus. I'm Connor Stirling, but from all of us, ngā mihi nui, hei kona.